Thanks everybody for your patience, standing out here in the hot sunshine. In the spirit and intent of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action, we acknowledge the traditional Indigenous territories on which we are gathered. We humbly acknowledge that Ottawa sits on the ancestral land of many Indigenous generations of many Indigenous nations who have been here since time immemorial. My name is Bill Dixon. I'm the Manager of Media Relations for the OPP, and again, thank you for being here. After the Commissioner speaks, we will hear from Inspector Anne-Christine Gauthier. She'll be delivering some statements in French. It will not mirror the Commissioner's statements, but it will mirror what has gone out to the media so far. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Ontario Provincial Police Commissioner Thomas Creek to provide some details and comment on the death of our member.
Thank you for your patience and being with us here this afternoon. I'm joined by Deputy Commissioner Chris Harkins, the Deputy Commissioner of Field Operations. And we're here this afternoon to share some details with you of the tragic loss of one of our officers who has yet again been murdered, simply selflessly serving his community, and the injury of two other OPP officers. This morning at just after 2 a.m., our officers responded to a sound of gunshots that was reported by a citizen. They arrived at a residence on Laval Street in Bourget, and upon arrival, 3 of our officers were ambushed and shot. Tragically, 42-year-old Sergeant Eric Mueller was killed, and 2 other veteran OPP officers were injured. One of the officers has been treated and released from hospital and is recovering from home. The other veteran OPP officer remains in hospital undergoing treatment. A 39-year-old male was arrested and was taken into custody without further incident by heroic officers that were responding in aid to their injured colleagues. It was just this Sunday, just days ago, that we attended the Ontario Police Memorial. Since September, Canada has lost 10 officers in the line of duty, 9 of which were murdered. Today, with the murder of Sergeant Eric Mueller, that makes 5 police officers in the province of Ontario that have been murdered since September. Eric was an exemplary officer, a family man. He started his career with the Ontario Provincial Police 21 years ago as a special constable in our offender transport unit right here in Ottawa. In 2006, he was hired as a provincial constable. And in 2018, in recognition of his exemplary performance, his dedication to duty, his commitment to his colleagues, he was promoted to the rank of sergeant. He's described by his colleagues as a coach, a mentor, someone that everybody looked up to, the glue that held his shift together, the best leader that many people ever had the privilege of working for. And again, today, our hearts are broken as we remember Eric. We stand beside his family, and we focus our attentions on the recovery of the officers who have been physically injured and emotionally impacted. Thank you. I will take questions after we read a press release in French. Inspector.
Thank you, Commissioner. La police provinciale de l'Ontario est en deuil suivant le décès d'un agent dans l'exercice de ses fonctions aujourd'hui. Le 11 mai 2023, juste après 2 heures du matin, des agents ont été appelés sur les lieux d'un incident à une maison sur la rue Laval à Bourget, où un individu avait signalé avoir entendu un coup de feu. 3 agents ont arrivé sur les lieux, ont été blessés par une arme à feu. Le sergent Eric Mueller, du détachement de la police provinciale de l'Ontario du comté de Russell, a été transporté à l'hôpital où il a succombé à ses blessures. 2 autres agents du même détachement ont été blessés par l'arme à feu et sont présentement stables à l'hôpital. À l'heure actuelle, cet incident ne présente aucun risque pour la sécurité publique. L'accusé est en état d'arrestation et ne pose aucun risque pour notre communauté. L'OPP soutient la famille et les collègues des membres à faire face à cette tragédie et nos pensées et nos prières les accompagnent. Les membres de la famille demandent aux médias de respecter leur vie privée durant cette période extrêmement difficile.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Inspector. As you can imagine, even though this happened at 2 o'clock in the morning, we're still early on in the investigation. So there will be a lot of things that we just can't acknowledge or talk about right now. But we will open this to questions. We'll start one question each, maybe a follow-up, and we'll go from there. So might as well start right on the left. Oh, sorry, we'll go here first and then over to you.
You're absolutely right. I'm wondering what else you can tell us about what the officers knew before they arrived on the scene, other people in the house, and it seems that they all arrived on the scene together, not separately.
So we had a call from a citizen that reported possibly hearing gunshots. So it was a disturbance call. The sounds of gunshots were unconfirmed. The officers arrived within minutes of each other. Eventually, 3 officers were on scene at the time of the shooting.
And do you know if anyone else was injured?
I'm not aware of anyone else being in the home at the time, and nobody else was injured. There have been no civilians or citizens injured in this encounter.
Friend from CBC.
You described this as an ambush. Is there anything to indicate that the shooter was waiting for police to intentionally shoot them?
That'll form part of the investigation, but that's exactly how I would describe it based on the information that I have. When 3 officers arrive on scene and within minutes are shot, 1 is killed, another is very seriously and critically injured, and another injured to the point of requiring medical attention for simply arriving on scene, I categorize that as an ambush.
Reporting Dowling, CTV News. Can you provide us any more information on the suspect? Many residents talk about issues of drugs in the community. Police.
That also will form part of the investigation, but this is not a case where this is an individual that we have been dealing with repeatedly for years, but we'll figure out exactly what the history of the individual is throughout the course of the investigation.
And just on the remaining police officer in hospital, are his injuries life-threatening? What is his
Serious. He is in stable but critical condition.
Do you know what kind of weapon did he use this morning against your police officers? What caliber?
No, that will all form part of the forensics that will be part of this ongoing criminal investigation. I can tell you that there was a long gun found at the scene, but what firearm is responsible for the injuries to the officers, the caliber, make, model of that firearm, that is all part of the ongoing investigation.
You released any information about the 2 injured officers in stages?
We haven't released any information about them in relation to their names. We want to be respectful of their privacy, of course. I can tell you that the 1 officer in hospital is approximately 43 years of age, 19 years of service, exemplary officer who was highly regarded by his colleagues and community. The other officer who was treated and released from hospital is 35 years of age, again, a 10-year veteran officer, an exemplary officer, also highly regarded by his colleagues and his community.
Global. I just want to know the actual update that you can share, because here it was a vehicle that was towed and parked overnight about 500 meters from the crime scene. What do you want to say about that?
Nothing. I don't have that same information as I've reported. It happened on a residence on Laval, and that is part of the investigation. There are multiple people shot, so it's a very complicated crime scene, as you can imagine. So I'm not in a position to share with you details precisely as to who was shot exactly where on the property.
And about the suspect, do he live in that level 3 target or not?
Is the suspect,
yeah,
the accused, is was uninjured.
Yeah, where he live in that street, level street, or not? He's from somewhere else.
No, that. My understanding is that was his residence.
Yeah, Patrick Chiquette, the one newspaper. If the three police officers were shot, how did they manage to master the suspect?
Well, other officers arrived on scene and were able to safely take the accused into custody. As you can imagine, our officers are highly trained, and they were able to rely upon their training to safely apprehend the accused.
Is this the same Constable Mueller who was seriously injured in 2008?
Sergeant Mueller, he was seriously injured in an incident a number of years ago where he was very seriously injured, yes.
Any other questions?
Again, thank you for your patience. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here and allowing us to update you and the community accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. If you want looking for some one-on-ones with the inspector or myself afterwards, we'll be happy to chat.